With Noah Gragson leaving Junior Motorsports in pursuit of his first full-time Cup ride, this leaves Dale Jr. possibly looking for a new driver to hop into what has become the ride that many consider to be prime for next big stars in the sport, especially when you have Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and now Noah Gragson making up its alumni. This is a highly coveted ride that really many in the sport are probably going to be vying for, but more than likely there's a short list of names that Dale Jr. will be looking at grabbing from. The biggest thing to keep in mind with Junior Motorsports is that while they are incredibly successful, they still run a tight budget. Not many drivers come through that garage without funding behind them, but Junior has been known to go after a few guys that he sees potential in and find ways to make funding like he did for Josh Berry. Here are the names that I think Junior Motorsports will be targeting to drive the 9 car in 2023. Please keep in mind that there's been a rumor going around that Drew Dollar has signed on to drive the car in 2023 with lots of monetary backing, of course, but this seems like it might be a well-crafted hoax. I sure as heck hope so. Ryan Williams, who works for Junior Motorsports, said as much. Hopefully this is just a case of somebody really having a little fun with us, because there's really no reason Drew Dollar should be looking for any ride outside of the late models at this point. Who I think are real options for them starts with John Hunter Nemechek. He's been spurned twice now for promotion at Toyota after attempting a career reboot and putting his fate in their hands. I think the move to put Ty Gibbs in the replacement car for Kurt Busch will end up being the final straw for Nemechek. He's a proven talent who deserves a top ride, but he has been digressing this year in trucks. But I personally think this could be more due to issues going on internally with his growing frustrations with Toyota and the organization rather than his actual talent. The only negative is Nemechek does not bring any of his own funding. Next, I'd say the guy that has been on the top of a lot of people's favorite list for this ride is Carson Hocevar, who I think is highly talented in overdriving the trash and East equipment that he's been stuck in. And this guy, I think, if he got into Junior Motorsports equipment, he could shock the world and go on a tear if he ends up even in any other top tier equipment. Not sure how much funding he brings, but this would fit the mold that Junior Motorsports seems to try to fill with that 9 car. A young, uber talented dude who just needs some refining. Again, though, I don't know how much funding he brings. A name that I think is a pretty solid dark horse pick is the current Junior Motorsports late model driver, Carson Quaife. Quaife has been very impressive in the car's late model series this year, and he's someone in-house that Junior might have his eye on developing. Again, the amount of funding that Quaife brings is in question, but I think that he definitely has the talent to at least throw him into the 9 car and see what he's made out of. Now, for some names I think could work, but they're kind of long shots, starting off with Rajakaruth. This young man has been very impressive in ARCA, and he really impressed in his first Truck Series start with Spire Motorsports, coming home 11th, even though he was scored 10th at first. I don't really know. There was some kind of scoring error. Either way, he had a really good run. And making that start for Spire Motorsports, a team which has been used for multiple Hendrick drivers this year, there's a possibility there's an alignment going on there with Caruth and Chevy, where they might be kind of trying to vault him up as their next big prospect. He's made a couple of select starts in the Xfinity Series for Alpha Prime, but that equipment hasn't led to much success for anyone. I know he had that really bonehead mistake, I believe it was at Pocono, and it ruined his day and the other guy involved, but I think that is an outlier to his actual talent level, and I definitely think it's justified putting him in a car of this magnitude. Now, he isn't backed by a major sponsor, but he seems to always be able to find funding whenever a deal needs to be made. I think Caruth could definitely make the jump to this level, even though I think it'll take a couple years to grow into the competition. Okay, stay with me here. I know this is a really long shot, but what about Hailie Deegan? I know she's under the Ford development system, but there are so few Ford seats available in Xfinity, and it seems like they are just starting to kind of slowly put her into the background. While she's had her struggles, I would still bet on her having more potential than she's shown at this point. She just needs to get some good luck and momentum on her side. She'd easily come funded, and I think Junior Motorsports is the perfect environment for a young and extremely raw but talented driver to develop. I think that she's gotten a lot of rough breaks in the truck series, like a lot of young drivers have. I really think that she could make the jump to Xfinity and show a little more potential than she has at this point. I just think it would be a solid fit overall. I don't know if Chevy could pry her away from Ford, though. It's still kind of hard to tell just how much Ford values her in terms of developing her. Alright, now we have another Junior Motorsports former late model guy in Connor Mozak, who is not the most talented name on this list, but he comes with a lot of funding from Nick Taylor Custom Fits, and I just think that he already has a rapport with Junior. This is not a sexy pick, and it's kind of akin to that of the Michael Annett deal for so many years. But Mozak is a Charlotte native, he has ties to Junior, he has funding, and is currently in the Chevy pipeline, so that all to me adds up to him at least probably having his name slid across Junior's desk. Okay, last but certainly not least is Junior's nephew, Jeffrey Earnhardt. And I will admit, this is a name I'm throwing in on a fantasy hope that it happens. Jeffrey has shown a lot of improvement over the years and is having solid runs this year with RCR and Sam Hunt Racing in the Xfinity Series. It's still debatable whether he has the talent to deserve a ride of this caliber full-time, but I'm willing to bank that there's something there to at least worth throw a stone at it. Jeffrey has got some funding from Forever Lawn, and I think he's shown enough initiative and talent that if you pair that with his financial backing, we have the potential for a cocktail made up of, at the very least, a really cool story. It would be a big boomer bust pick for Junior, but I think it'd be pretty cool to see happen, and nobody can blame them for trying, I think, at the end of the day. All in all, it'll be interesting to see who gets this coveted ride, but I think it's also kind of important to remember there's a good chance that Junior Motorsports just simply downsizes back to 3 full-time cars. After all, I mean, they really only expanded to 4 this year to make room for Junior's passion project and Josh Berry. But what do you guys think? Who do you want to see in the 9 car next year, and what names did I miss? Tell me what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I hope y'all have a great day.